Welcome to, gosh, it's our 16th year of Golden Black Live. Mike Bobinski's, this is only only eighth, right? Is this starting number eight for you, correct? As
Starting number
athletic
eight,
director?
which is incredible, but
It
yes.
is congrats. August 9th, 2016 was when it all started, and it's been
Sure.
a blur. So you've had pandemics, you've had all kinds of things. NIL realignment. We don't need to go through all that again. You don't need to be reminded about the challenges of your world, but we do appreciate your time. Welcome to Golden Black Live, and we appreciate too our sponsors, Triple X on the Hill, but on the level of Purdue tradition since 1929, and State Farm agent Trent Johnson. Trent is my agent.com. Why is State Farm, or is Trent a good State Farm agent? Because he's at Mackey Arena a lot. He's on the sideline this weekend. He's refereeing high school football games. Trent does a lot for our community, and we appreciate him as well. All right, Mike. We are now, as this airs, 22 hours away from kickoff. I mean, who would know?
Sure.
It seems like we've talked about this a lot, and yet in your world, your staff and your crew has had to keep its nose to the grindstone just about the facility, and there's a lot of excitement about not only the Tiller Tunnel but the south end. So give us the latest, and everything is good to go. It sounds like, but not
Sure.
not an easy road to get there, I'm sure.
So many people worked so hard, Alan, to get us to the finish line here in time for kickoff tomorrow. It has been a Herculean task. Obviously, the timeline was tight to begin with. We had a very ambitious schedule with what we wanted to get accomplished here during this off season, and thankfully, a combination of our teams internally, both in athletics and campus wide, but some great contractors and a great architectural partner in Populous have gotten us to really 95% of, if not more, of where we would want to be as we kick off tomorrow. There'll be a few graphics and some finishing details and things that will fall into the next couple of weeks after we kick off tomorrow. But nothing that will impair our ability to host a football game and host it really, really well. And I think present a different looking Ross-Ade to people, and I hope that folks have the same reaction that I do. And I might be a little biased when I walk out there, when I come out of that tunnel and just sort of take the whole thing in. It feels different. It feels different in lots of good ways, and I think people. The Purdue folks that join us tomorrow here, and there's going to be lots of them, which is great. I hope they feel the same way. I think it's really going to take a step forward from us, from a home field advantage, and from really a different sounding and looking Ross-Ade for years to come.
The 100th season of Ross-Ade Stadium begins on Saturday, and it opened as a horseshoe, or so they said back. If you go back and read some of the stories in 1924, we had one on the site this week. This is really the first time that it's a bowl. They were going to call it the Ross-Ade Bowl back in 24, supposedly.
Yeah.
That was one of the names they wanted. This is the first time. That enclosure makes a big difference, though, on the north end. And I know that that is really a lot of, the Tiller Tunnel has gotten a lot of attention, as it should. But this is really something, too, that brings the band and puts students in one spot. And it really has a chance to increase that volume level in Ross-Ade, one would think.
I would think so too. And until you pack the place and have the sound, bouncing around in there, you don't really know. But I've got to believe that we were losing a lot out the back end of the horseshoe in recent years for sure. And so I'm anxious to see that play out. But I would, as you said, the bowling in of the south end and the ability for people to sort of traverse the entire stadium without going out and then trying to get back in is a brand new thing. And those patios in the corners, you until you actually step foot on them, you can't appreciate just how much real estate there is in both the east and west corners. There's a lot of room up there, and I think it'll be a great ability for people to, as people like to consume events these days, they like to be sometimes in more social, informal spaces, as opposed to just sitting in my seat the entire time. And we just have a lot more ability for that to happen in this new configuration, which I'm excited about.
and also for the first time, obviously with the Tiller Tunnel, and Purdue will come out of a tunnel like a lot of the great college football programs. Your alma mater has one of the great tunnels in all of sport. Ohio State, Michigan, on down the line. This is, and Ryan Walters has talked about it, just that feeling. This is a sport through all of its machinations over the, off-season challenges and changes. One thing it's about is passion, excitement, and that feeling among fans and your team as one kind of. And this seems to, I think it's going to be a unique way to make that happen.
No, I think it'll be tremendously exciting. For our team, for Ryan and the coaching staff, and for our fans when we take the field, not only this Saturday but every game coming forward, coming out of the Tiller Tunnel will be a very special moment. I know when the football guys last weekend did a sort of a run through, and things were still very much in the process of becoming there. It was meaningful to them even when they were just running out with nobody in the stands, because it was like, wow, this is different. This is very cool. And as you come out of that tunnel and sort of take in the entirety of Ross-Ade from that perspective, it's much different than the way that we used to enter. And I think it's going to be very, very compelling, and it's inspiring to our guys as they take the field.
All right, Ryan Walters is going to have a debut that a lot has been made of that 37-year-old. Matt Painter was younger when he started as head coach at Purdue, and Purdue's had younger head coaches over the years, not very many. But my point is that it is a new world for Ryan, even though he seems to be ultra prepared, certainly enthusiastic. But I'm sure there's anxiety there, just with your approach with him, and certainly Tiffany Grimes works a lot with football, as do you, but as his quote unquote supervisor, so to speak, how do you deal with him as he gets ready, and what do you say for encouragement as his first team takes the Ross-Ade Stadium or Rorman Field on Saturday?
Sure. Well, we talk, regularly, if not every day, but darn near every day. And I've just tried to be supportive, and honestly, the thing that I intended, even earlier today, was just to tell him that I'm proud of everything that he has done since the day he stepped into this role, and I have every expectation that we'll be really proud of what our team will look like, and how he's prepared them. He and his coaches have prepared our guys for this moment. It's been really intentional. It's been very deliberate. There is nothing that's happened that's been by accident since Ryan took over. And while he is clearly a young man chronologically, he is one of those folks that you can tell who's been preparing for this moment since the day he began as a coach. I mean, he was focused on getting to this point. And as I told him the other day when we were talking, that I thought the same thing when I had my first opportunity to be the guy in charge, and I was reasonably prepared. I had I think a very similar mindset to Ryan in how I had gotten myself to that point. Nevertheless, things, as I told him, I said, things are going to come your way, whether it be on Saturday or in the lead up to Saturday, that you, in your wildest dreams, probably could never have anticipated having fall in front of you. So just be ready. You're a really smart guy. You've got lots of perspective that you're bringing to this opportunity. Just rely on all that experience and all those thoughts that you've prepared yourself for. But just trust that something that you can't possibly imagine is going to happen. Whether it be a decision, whether it be a circumstance or situation, who knows what, things will happen that you can't anticipate. And just be yourself and work through them. And I trust the outcome is going to be really, really good.
He has that nice blend of confidence, obviously intelligence. And I think that's important. It seems like what's going to be fun for me to watch. It's just to see how that wears off and what we see, because you talk about adversity or things that can happen off the field, and maybe you also mentioned on the field. Gosh knows what lightning bolt happens there, and what something happens, and all of a sudden you're down 14-0 and figuring out how we're going to right the ship. So those are all things that I'm eager. As a Purdue fan, I suppose no Purdue fans want to see the Boilermakers down 14-0, but you do know you get paid, and we all get evaluated on how we adjust to adversity. And when you watched him so far, what do you see in terms of what characteristics really will help him in that area from your perspective?
He has a sort of a natural calm about him.
Yeah.
He's very uh, energetic and brings emotion, but when the bullets are flying, he's got a calmness about him and an ability to stay composed, which I think, from a coaching perspective, I think allows you to make the best judgments and the best decisions when you're not riding an emotional wave throughout a game. And so I've watched that in practice. I've watched him. Even I recall our game last year at Illinois, because not that I had my eye, I didn't no idea at that moment in time, but I knew at that point of his reputation, and so I was curious. And he, even when we were having some success against them,
Right.
he kept, he maintained a very composed presence on the sideline, which I think I've heard him say that, I don't want my guys getting frantic out there, so I can't get frantic. I've got to maintain some poise here if I expect my team to maintain poise. So I would expect that to be the case. I think he will, be emotional in his own way, but it won't be outwardly obvious to anybody.
Hudson Card is the poster child, so to speak, of the slew of transfers.
Yes.
And really roster, and Purdue's not, I don't know that we've done the research, and maybe you have, but not that it matters what other schools in the league, but Purdue is going to have like most teams in Division I college football, high-end Division I college football, a lot of new faces. And will you put that as one of his top challenges, just being able to, for lack of a better term, and maybe somewhat insensitive, is to herd the cats, be able to organize a lot of faces that have been looking at each other for a matter of months, if not a matter of weeks? That to me is a fascinating challenge for a 37-year-old or for Jeff Tedford, a 61-year-old at Fresno State. This is not an easy thing for coaches.
No, it's not. But I do think, as I mentioned earlier, nothing happens, or nothing I've seen has happened, has been less than intentional. Anything but intentional. Since I've watched Ryan work, and I know he and his staff have worked, particularly in areas where it's important that units function together: offensive line, defensive backfield, making sure that they do everything they can to try to build that sense of trust and cohesion and the ability to rely on each other to do what needs to be done in any given situation. So there's been a tremendous focus on that, but until the bullets are live, and as they will be tomorrow, you don't know how exactly that's going to play out, particularly when, clearly the other team's they're going to gain yards. They're going to stop us on occasion. How do we react? How do our guys stay together in those moments? I think that's the intriguing thing, I think, for all of us to see. But I know there's been a lot of time and energy put into building a real unit. And I tell you, the vibe that you get when you're around our team right now, whether it be in the weight room, whether you be in a meeting room with them, they seem incredibly connected for a group that hasn't been together for a long time. And that's I think that's a tribute and a testament to the work that Ryan and his coaches have done to really build a sense of Purdue football. And you all are Boilermakers now. We all need each other in order to be successful.
All right. One of the things in your day job has been at least navigating the world of realignment, certainly, the transfer portal, NIL. Do you think, now it's almost like it's a blessing that we're playing games, and we can now, you're never going to be able to put that stuff totally to the side. I mean, these are all issues that are going to have to be dealt with and continue to be dealt with as college sports continues to evolve. But are you a subscriber to that theory that that's maybe the best thing, is that we get back to playing games for a bit? Yes, there are some problems. Some of them seem somewhat intractable in my view, but challenging to say the least. How do you compartmentalize it all moving forward, knowing that you still are going to have some of those challenges? You're going to have those challenges as soon as this season's over.
Sure. I absolutely subscribe to the theory that, thank goodness, we're playing games and back to the season right now. So other things move to the forefront, and those issues, while to your point, they're not going away. They still need to be managed, dealt with, and in some cases improved. How things are executing in those areas, they will not be the primary focus, at least day in and day out right now. And I think that's good for everybody. The off season, while everybody's busy these days during the off season, there still is more time for those types of things to become the the primary thing. And I think we're all ready for a change of just a change of priority here for a period of time. Again, lots of work yet to come. The integration of our new members next year is a hot topic in and around the league. We have regular calls, both myself and my colleagues, our faculty reps and their colleagues, Tiffany and her colleagues, with conference office staff, talking about just how that's all going to unfold. That is not an insignificant change in how our lives will all look and feel a year from now. So we've got to stay on that. There is some work going on nationally with transfer regulation. I think they've tightened up the multiple transfer world in some probably logical ways. And I think it got away from everybody there for a period of time. And I think it's now starting to come back to a little bit more of a reasonable positioning, which is good. And name, image, likeness is also, the NCAA is working hard on some alternative structure in the event that Congress is not the viable option. And I think that's a complete wild card. Your guess would be as good as mine as to whether or not a bill can actually emerge in Washington that would be agreeable to all sides of the aisle, plus agreeable to us in terms of the folks that have to live with it and execute it. So, lots still going on, and that, again, that won't change. But boy, it's nice to be playing some games and have some other things to talk about.
Last question for you, just on you had the opportunity to travel with men's basketball to Europe. This is a really, they played well. It's hard to know exactly with the competition, but they certainly look the part. A lot in front of Matt Painter. You've got an excellent coach and an experienced one that's gone through some challenges. And when you don't get to where you want to in the NCAA tournament, like 67 of the 68 teams do, there's always challenges. But what was your take from the trip? Just you watch coaches, you watch teams. Sure. What'd you take from it?
I really enjoyed watching our guys compete on the trip. The games are not as much life and death, blood and guts like our regular season games are, where the results sort of, your whole mood ebbs and flows with how things went. But I thought it was good to see lots of guys get the opportunity to play and play extended minutes in some cases. Matt would sometimes, hockey substitute where we, be a new line, we go in 5 new guys and different combinations. And I thought it was all very instructive, and I think very illuminating for our coaches and for our players to, get a feel for each other. Because we had some guys in either new roles or new players in general that had a chance to show some things. And I was very encouraged by what I saw personally. I think you always wonder about that freshman to sophomore move. We relied on freshmen a lot last year. I can tell you that certainly Braden Smith, in my eyes, he has made that jump. He was in complete command of the team when he was on the floor. His vision, his feel for the game and how to get the ball and where to get it to the right places in the right time was really impressive. Lance Jones is going to be a really good addition to our squad. He's a really solid guy. He can handle the ball. He can score when he needs to score. He can defend. He's physical. He's experienced. He's mature. Fits right in. I mean, honestly, Matt and our staff does such a great job of making sure that whoever they bring in to our group is going to be is going to fit in multiple ways. And Lance is clearly a next version of that. Cam Heide showed some really good things. Miles Colvin is going to be a tremendous college basketball player. He's got a beautiful stroke. Looks like it's going in every time he shoots it. And when he figures out the college game and how to use his incredible athleticism to full effect, the combination of his skill and his shot making ability and his athleticism will make him he's going to be a special player for us without a doubt. And then others have made clear improvement. Trey Kaufman-Wren was exceptional over there. I think he just has really, really put the work in during the offseason, and you can see it. I mean, he's really, really confident, really aggressive. And so I'm anxious for football to get going, but also, really knowing that basketball is not that far down the road. I think we've got lots to look forward to there in every good way. So, our fan base should feel really, really good about what that's going to look like this year.
Yeah, I think in Katie's squad with women's basketball as well.
Same thing.
September 20 to September 26th, I think, is when it kicks off again,
Yes.
if it ever stops, which I don't think it does.
Right.
And then, of course, I think the men have an exhibition game, the 28th of October at Arkansas. So,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
a lot of fun going on. And it all starts tomorrow. It's actually already started. Obviously, volleyball and soccer have gotten off to a start. Volleyball, as of this recording, is looking for a little bit of a turnaround after a tough start. But Dave Shondell and company are tough-minded. My guess is they'll do just that. But Mike, thanks so much for your time. Always appreciate it. It's become a tradition on this show, and we appreciate your time as we kick off another year. And best of luck to you, not only Saturday, but as you traverse the college basketball, the college landscape on a daily basis. We wish you well. So thanks for your time, and thanks for being able to be on this show. So we'll be back. We're going to take a short break, and we'll bring on Chad Q. Brown is somebody that I think Mike knows, but from Profile Behavior. Interesting conversation. He always has some interesting looks at student athletes and what they go through as part of his business. We'll do that, and Tom Dienhart will join us in segment 3 as we'll actually talk X's and O's. We could have done that with Mike, but we're going to do that with Tom as we break down Purdue Fresno State. So stay tuned. We'll see you in 2 minutes on Golden Black Live.